Medicine Women, written by Lynn B. Andrews, read by Angela Homan. There are no medicine men without medicine women. A medicine man is given power by a woman, and it has always been that way. A medicine man stands in the place of a dog. He's merely an instrument of woman. It doesn't look that way anymore, but it's true. Agnes Whistling Elk. A yellow moon had risen over the hills in the distance. The sky was beautiful and immense, and somewhere the coyotes were singing their mournful song. I was sitting before an open fire with an old Indian woman. Her face was creased like that of an apple doll. Her cheekbones were high, and her long braids fell below her shoulders. She wore a braided medicine wheel necklace over the green plaid Pendleton shirt. "Your life is a path," she said, her thick accent first difficult to understand. "Knowingly and unknowingly, you have been on a vision quest. It is good to have a vision, a dream." There was something compelling about her. Her personality seemed to change from moment to moment. Although she had difficulty expressing the simplest thoughts in English, she was as erudite as anyone I've ever known, and she had great dignity. "Woman is the ultimate," she said. "Mother Earth belongs to woman, not man. She carries the void." These were her words to me before I became her apprentice. She is Hyoka, medicine woman. I was destined to follow in her path for 7 years. This book is the second of my journey into her strange and beautiful realm, the celebration of the power of a woman, and she made me see that power. I am walking in part of the fairway. The prairie is severed with sparse scrub sage and low spreading cedar. I think of a lovely valley in the center of the moon. I come upon an ornate cabinet in the strange, vast silence. Its craftsmanship is remarkable. I can see through its translucent drawers. On its left side, behind the glass, a woman's face is looking at me. The face of an ancient American Indian. On the right side, I see a blue crow. The scene reminds me of Margaret painting. The woman's head begins turning back and forth, abruptly, rhythmically, like the beat of monotone. "How many times must I tell you," she said, still turning her head back and forth, "the marriage basket is not for sale. You have to earn it. You must earn it." As I am being chastised, my attention is diverted to the gleaming eye of the crow. The crow's body darts swirling inward to the face of the head of the woman, moving in the same direction like some kind of beat. I am startled. The crow begins to mourn. To mimic the speech of the old woman. The two distinct voices are so quarrelsome, I shudder. I've seen only one marriage basket in my life. I happen to know that the basket is still in existence. Where? I do not know. Are you ready? Asked Irvin, anxious to leave. Not just yet, I answered. Believe it or not, I think I've found something interesting. I had gone to Grover Galley for this Stieglitz opening with Dr. Ivan Dmitriev, a psychiatrist friend of mine. The gallery was packed with the usual art patrons and pretenders to culture, but I had expected that. That wasn't what bothered me. It was the exhilaration. It was the static, the flavorless. That was before I saw the photograph. Wait a minute. Ivan, that can't be a Stieglitz, I said, tagging at his sleeve. We stood before the photograph of an old American Indian basket. Ivan gave it a grudging look, still bored, still anxious to leave. That's a fascinating design, I said, looking closer. But not at all Stieglitz. I kept peering at the basket, which was haunting. It had intricate pattern resembling the dolphin with a snake or with lightning. Even though I am a collector of American Indian art, I had never seen anything to compare with it. There was something unusual about the weave as well. I couldn't tell whether it was coiled or woven or what. I was entranced by its perfection, no telling where it was from. But it was already on display in my subconscious. Ivan kept frowning and looking to the exits. The print, an 8x10, had a mystic sepia quality that I could never have associated with the Stieglitz. I wondered at what stage he had done it. My eyes fell on the neatly typed paper legend below the picture, and I looked for the date. It was there all right, along with the title, The Marriage Basket. But I was in for another surprise. The photographer's name was listed as McKinley. It was a Long Island in a sea of Stieglitz. Ivan was looking at me impatiently. Are you familiar with the photographer McKinley? I asked. No, I don't recognize him, he said, pulling my arm, but I recognize a bunch of phonies and pseudo-intellectuals when I see them. So let's get out of here and get back and get a drink. But I want that photograph, I said. Come back tomorrow and get it on your own time, Ivan said, begrudgingly heading for the door. At least let me write down the name, I said, rustling around uncomfortably in my purse for a pen. I looked up and saw Ivan waving me outside, and with a sigh I decided I could remember Marriage Basket and McKinley. I had to catch up with Ivan. That night the strange dreams began. I couldn't sleep. An owl hooted ominously in the walnut tree outside my bedroom. I pulled the covers up around my face and lay rigid in the silence as I began to drift toward sleep. Images of the marriage basket, dark and mysterious, entered my night vision. The dream imploded into a wild whirling sound of my consciousness. I awoke with a start and sat straight up in bed, wide-eyed, frightened, and then flew off the covers angrily and stomped into the bathroom. I flicked on the light and rummaged around noisily into the medicine cabinet, glancing suspiciously at the mirrors for any given sign of flitting shadows, as an aspirin bottle slipped into the floor and broke into a dozen pieces. I swept it up as best I could, and I banged my head on the damn, I took a swig of Alka-Seltzer and lurched back into bed. The room was dark except for the wands of moonlight that played on my face. I thought of the Anais Nin story, which the heroine basked in the light of the moon. And turned into and tumbled under the awesome glow.